what we thought we'd start by asking Bob and Chris to talk a little bit about how they got into, they decided to begin to make guitars.
First guitar I completed was when I was in the Army in 1970 in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Made a copy of a Les Paul, and it turned out pretty good. It ended up being a coffee table in my mother's house. I think the neck was too big or something, I don't remember. And then I've always done it part-time. I'm a cabinet maker by trade, and furniture builder. I've done a lot of work for people around town and around the country. And I'm retiring from that because I just turned 62, and I'm going to start my career as a guitar builder very soon, full-time. And it's something I'll do until I can't do it anymore.
Bob has told me the story before about building his first birdhouse at the age of 9, and I guess all the neighbors came around and went, "God, what a great birdhouse! You're a genius." Anyway, it was like written in the stars at that point that Bob was a craftsman. He was going to be a craftsman. He was a born craftsman, and from there, there's just a matter of time until he bumped into the guitar and became a guitar builder.
Guitars are not only guitars, they're works of art.
Well,
if you look at some of his guitars on the internet, Earl Graham guitars, you'll be amazed. He calls them Earl Graham for a reason.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, for instance, this cheeseburger girl has cheeseburger and french fries inside the guitar with a packet of ketchup and mustard in the other section of the guitar. He's got sushi girl, rodeo girl, electronic girl, and just everything imaginable.
Yeah, I think that was my point. You can take the boy out of the art school, but you really can't take the art school out of the boy. Yeah. You're stuck with it from there on out. And so, no matter what you do, you end up going, how can I do this a little different? What can I do to make this more noticeable and stuff like that? So, and that was sort of the arc of my guitar building career. A couple of years ago, there was a TV program called The Closer. Has anyone ever heard of that? Well, I guess for the first seasons it was on, the entire soundtrack for that show is a guy playing a single electric guitar. I got an email from him said, "Hi, I'm playing, all the soundtrack to The Closer. I'm playing on one of your guitars because I can't get that sound from anything else." And I was very flattered. But if he'd have said, "Can you build me another guitar that sounds like that?" I had no idea. I had no idea, A, how I made that pickup or those pickups, and B, even if I did and wound them again, they wouldn't sound the same way. So, because I'm just kind of winging it on everyone. So sometimes I strike it lucky, and then other times I make God awful calls.
So the tone is in here too. And a good player can make any guitar sound good. But then he demands the better guitars because he's that good. And but if you're a good player, you could take a stick of wood and do something with it. You couldn't do everything you could do on this because this is perfect setup, perfect gap between the strings, and the tone is to die for. But a good guitar player can make anything sound good just because he's a good musician.
I used to tell
but then they demand these kind of guitars once they get to the
just as the guitars out there, the classical guitars are going to have a certain tone, a certain traditional tone. If the classical player picks it up and it doesn't have that tone, he's going to know something's wrong. And as far as the steel string acoustics, they have certain traditional tones. A person is going to want the sound of a Martin Dreadnought or the sound of Gibson Super Jumbo, or these are traditional areas of tone. And I think sometimes people don't realize that there are, in the electric guitar, certain traditional tonal areas. And guitars like Dennis or most guitar players, electric guitar players out there, can listen to a song and go, oh, Tele, oh, Stratocaster, oh, Les Paul, or Gibson humbucker, or Gibson single coil, P90, or something like that. You can, because these are traditional areas, and guitars tend to fall in that area. And certain guitars are tonally associated with certain kinds of music.
You don't need a lot to build a guitar. I built a guitar in a hotel room using a pocket knife, a rasp, and a router. And it actually played good. I don't know what happened to it. It might have turned into a coffee table too, I don't know. But tools I mostly use now for building guitars are a router, various sanders, and a bandsaw. That's pretty much it. And a table saw for making my fingerboards. So you don't need a lot of tools to get into it, and you don't need a lot of expensive tools. So ambition is probably greater than anything. You need the ambition to do it and not give up if you make a mistake. Because I guarantee you will make a mistake.
But and I think Bob is right. Once you get involved in it, it's kind of addictive. On the other hand, I think there is another aspect, another thing you have to have, which is a certain kind of confidence. A confidence so that when that small, silent, quiet, sane voice in you goes, "Why are you doing this? You spent way too much money, and this is not going well," and stuff like that. You go, "No, that's it." You just keep right on going, right after the point where lots of sane people would have just gone, forget about this. But you keep plugging along, and you rejoice in the successes that you have.
Well, I think you can see from just talking to Chris is that there are very different approaches to making similar kinds of instruments. And from the point of view of doing this exhibition and working with 9 builders in Tucson, and I'm sure there are more. Obviously, I met 2 more this evening that I didn't know were here. What was very interesting about it is every shop was different. Every approach was different in some ways. Everybody approaches it in a different way, and yet, so it's a very personal activity from the standpoint of the craftsman. And frankly, that was my intent in doing the exhibition, was to somehow demonstrate through the history of the building of guitars that it's just like, people who do blacksmithing, or people who build furniture, the people who are potters, people who are jewelers, all of the traditional crafts. This is one of those great traditional crafts that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, practiced by very different kinds of individuals creating these wonderful instruments.
And for me, I think for both of us, it's about realizing a vision. The thing is, Bob's vision is different than mine. I have like a more oddball kind of vision, and it's just that the CNC machine. I don't care what I have to use in order to realize the vision. And I will learn what I have to learn in order to do what I want to do, but I don't care about learning anymore. Bob is not satisfied until he knows the craft through and through. I want to know the craft just enough to do what I want to do and get that done, and then figure out something else.
Sometimes I wonder, why do I like this? I get splinters in my hands. I run my hands into sanding machines and sand them down to the bone. Why do I like it? I think it makes it all worthwhile. When you finish a guitar, you give it to the player, you go out and sing and play somewhere, and you're scared to death the neck's going to fall off. But you're also excited, and when he plays the guitar and everything sounds good, it's just a great feeling, seeing something that you made.